first question for you. Uh, can you please, so what is your education background?
I have a master's degree in sport administration. I have both of my degrees from University of Miami. Here, let's get the U. I got to have the U on. Had a Bachelor of Business Administration, which was my undergraduate degree at the University of Miami. I studied business, but I knew I loved sports, so I had a minor in sport administration. And then I went back to school and got my master's in sport administration, which was obviously focused on the sports field.
Okay, great. Yeah, that was going to tie into my next question. How you got into your current field? So you kind of talked about the sport administration background, but was there kind of like a connection, or was there someone you had to speak with in order to get your current position, or how did that work?
Sure. So growing up, I loved sports. Tried to play sports, did the best I could as in high school, and in my younger days, baseball, basketball, football was always my favorite. I went to one of the many things that attracted me to University of Miami. Weather, beautiful campus, great school. But the football program is what caught my eye to explore all of the other great things that University of Miami had. So I went to school at Miami, loved sports, and I knew I wanted to do something in sports, but I really didn't know how to go about getting involved or what that was. And so what I do is I'm a fundraiser. I ask people for money to help support our scholarships or any of the facilities that we have for our student athletes. And it's funny because no one says, hey, I want to ask people for money for a living. That's not like a dream of anybody. But I love sports. I love the University of Miami. And what I do is connect people that have the same passion that I do to the university. So how I got into the current field, when I finished my undergraduate career or undergraduate studies at University of Miami, I applied for an internship in the athletic department, and I was very lucky that they hired me and selected me. And my internship happened to be in the fundraising arm of the athletics department. So I really just got lucky that I applied for an internship and got it, not knowing much. I just wanted to get my foot in the door. But if you take a step back, what I tell to a lot of our students in sport administration is get involved as early as possible, network, learn about the industry, get to know as many people that are working in the industry. So when you do finish school, you're not just a stack of resumes out of hundreds or thousands of people, because it's very competitive. A lot of people want to work in sports. So long answer, I got pretty lucky, but don't do what I did. Volunteer, get involved, try and figure out the best way at a young age, as young as possible, how to get involved and meet people that can help you in your career.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm really interested because University of Miami, that is my favorite college, and not just because because when I was a kid, I was a huge Dwayne Johnson fan. He went to University of Miami, but I ended up going to KU. But I made
Jayhawk peeking out there.
Yeah, because me and my wife went to KU, but I enjoyed the school but I went there for PE, and then I majored sports management and did the internship, but I didn't get a job in that field. I went into physical education. But what I'm now going to tie into, so your daily schedule. So what does your daily work schedule look like? So by the time you go to work and right before you go home?
Sure. So one of the things that I enjoy about, so in fundraising, and what I enjoy about our job is it's not necessarily, 8:30, 9, you're in your office behind your desk on the computer, and then 5 o'clock or 5:30, you're done. Our daily work schedule is different almost every day. We are very fan, alumni, donor centric. We're very externally focused. So a lot of my schedule depends on our donor schedule. If we're asking people to invest and give their hard-earned money, we have to meet them on their terms or on their turf, so to speak. So it could start with a breakfast at the country club next to the University of Miami. It could end with dinner and cocktails on Miami Beach with another donor. It could be traveling next week. I'm going to Atlanta. Our first game is versus Alabama in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So Thursday and Friday, the game Saturday, I'll be in Atlanta meeting with alumni, supporters, donors in Atlanta. So no day is always the same. If I'm in the office, this morning I was out at football practice. watching the team practice and inviting donors to watch the team practice. So no day is the same. For me, we have to put ourselves in a position to be in front of as many of our supporters and engage them as possible. So it can be dinners, lunches, breakfasts. We vacation with some of our donors. Unfortunately, we'll go to their funerals. We'll go to bar mitzvahs. We'll go to weddings. It's a unique field and experience, and you have to meet people where they are.
Very good. So very unique. So every day is different. So if every day is different, so what is your favorite part of the job if you're not doing the same thing every day?
Yeah, good question. Favorite part of the job, I would say, is so we're asking people to give money, and it's a unique thing, but the favorite part of the job is when someone who's giving you their money thanks you for their experience. They're the ones giving you the money, but they're thanking you for the experience, which means they're seeing the impact of their donations on our student athletes, and they're seeing the impact and results of what they're doing. So when we have our student athletes graduate, and you have a student athlete who's a first-time college graduate in their family, and it wouldn't be possible without the support of some of our donors, and they see that. I take pride in being a small part of helping facilitate that process. So that's the really rewarding part. And then seeing our student athletes be successful, not only while they're here, but going on in life. And it doesn't mean professional sports. It means having careers of their own, whether it's doctors, lawyers, coaches, and getting married, having families, and becoming adults and contributing to our community. That's really rewarding too. So seeing them start off as young women and young men and becoming adults and growing and appreciating the experiences they had at the university.
I like that. It sounds like a lot of our teachers from our current staff, just that rewarding. Yeah. But my last question here, what advice do you have for someone who wants to work in your field? I have a lot of students who want to go into the sport management, sports marketing, and sponsorship field. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's sort of like what I said before. Don't just, a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people want to work in sports. They think it's fun, it's exciting, which it is. But it's hard. It's very competitive. If you're going into sports, generally speaking, to make money, you're not going to make a lot of money. You see coaches, you see NFL, NBA players, etc., but they're the exception. It's long hours. You have to love what you're doing. So my advice is get involved as early as possible. Meet people that can help you. Meet coaches. Meet people that work in college athletic departments. Another cool thing is whatever you can do in the quote unquote real world, now there are opportunities in the sports world. So if you like accounting, if you like finance, you can work in the business office of an athletics department. You're talking about nowadays, your Power 5, your big schools have budgets over hundreds of millions of dollars. If you like nutrition, if you like medicine, you can be a team doctor, you can be a physical therapist. If my kids are on their computers nonstop, well, we have our own graphic design and social media teams now. There's anything that you can conceive of in everyday life, there's an application in sports. So don't just limit yourself to saying, again, we all see it on TV, the coaches, maybe the athletic director, or the professional student, the professional players. That's a very small piece of it, and that's very, very hard to attain. But there are so many opportunities in sports in almost every area of life. So if you have an interest in a certain specific study or area of athletics, be intentional about how to get there. Don't just say, I want to work in sports, graduate college, and then have zero connections in the field you want to pursue.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. The students are going to love to hear your advice and your expertise in this field. Is there anything you wanted to ask me before we go?
How many football games is Kansas going to win this year?
Ooh, they have a tough program. Coming from that program, I would say maybe let's shoot for 4.
All right.
They usually do about 2 per season. Yeah. Let's say 4, just because they had Charlie Weiss, they had Turner Gill, they had David Betty. They've been rotating coaches, so we'll see now that they have someone that's staying there. a little bit. We'll see if they can rebuild that program. But it's a rough program. It's more of a basketball school, I know.
Absolutely. Well, I wish them all the luck and rock chalk, baby.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.